Hello, Varsha.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent, excellent,
Good. Well, you look
excellent,
amazing as
excellent.
always.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here. This is a great time.
It really is a great time. It's a great time for women and, and celebrating women. I love that it's International Women's Day. And so for me, what I wanted to do was really focus on women that what I call global, that are global citizens. And of course, I consider you to be a global citizen
Well, thank you.
because you have that unique experience where you have, lived in different cultures, experienced different cultures. You have a business that has a global footprint. So I just think it's wonderful. I really wanted to connect with you. So again, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
First of all, how are you doing with everything with the pandemic and everything? I know you have children, and the last time we spoke, you were just doing a wonderful job as a mother and handling the pandemic and rearranging and just I think really adapting to a new normal. How are things going now that we're almost a year to the month
I
into the
I
pandemic?
can't even believe that it's a year already. And we've been doing very well and thankfully just so grateful to be blessed with, my kids are amazing. So I have one that's in her third year at school. One just started freshman year at college. So they're kind of out of the house right now. We just moved one out. So I
Oh,
have my younger
wow.
ones and they're so adaptable. Like they just took this whole online learning and like, we're going to go with it. They didn't complain except for when the internet wasn't working. That's the only time. So, we just went with the flow and we really kept that positivity because being angry about the situation doesn't solve anything. So,
And that's important, what you just said,
yeah.
just staying positive about the situation. That's important. How did you do that, Barsha? How did you stay positive with the
Oh,
situation?
I think a lot of praying.
There you go.
um, but just
When all
kind of
else fails, right? Pray.
right. That's all you
Pray.
can do. But I did a lot. I kept communication really open, and I ended up shifting my house a little bit. So I bought a desk and I put it in my room, because I have space. So the kids had their own space. So everybody had a little nook that they had to themselves, so it wouldn't get disturbed by other people. Um, and then I really did a lot of time blocking in my calendar.
Yeah.
So there's pockets in my day where I won't take any calls just so I can check in on them to make sure that they're on point, on target if they need any support. We cook together, we eat together. So I have that time where no phones, and I really just keep my attention to them. And then when the weather's nice, lunchtime, we just try to do like a quick little 20-minute walk outside to
Oh,
keep that
nice.
fresh air going. So it's different, right? It's
Yeah.
different having everyone in one house, but in one regard, it's kind of nice. I'm a hands-on person, so I love having them home.
Yes, I can. A lot of parents say that it's really nice to have that quality time with their children that they otherwise may not have had an opportunity to do. And I know I've
Right,
seen, you and your family together and you guys kind of just, mesh together really well with the cooking and something that's fun,
right.
and you work together. I mean, you cook together. And so it just seems like it's a lot of fun. Now, do you find yourself when it comes to their curriculum, going and engaging and helping and assisting, or are you just kind of there to make sure that, like you said, the system is working, the internet is working?
Yeah, I do check in to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Sometimes things that come through, I'm like, well, are we supposed to learn this or are we supposed to learn something different? Or it's with
Yeah.
my son, it's the flipping of the screen. Sometimes he'd be playing a video game and I'm like, dude, I think we're not supposed to be doing that, right? And so he just looks
Yes.
at him,
Well, I
you
can
know.
imagine they get so bored sometimes where it's like, especially if it's, you know, people, they're supposed to be working on their own individual lesson
Yeah.
plans. And if they finish early, they may get a little
Mhm.
bored. So,
Yeah, and that's what happens with him is he kind of finishes everything really quick. And
Yeah.
she's like, well, I'm done. I turned it in. I'm like, okay, well, if you turned it in, I might give you a little pass, but
Yeah.
but I mean, they, as far as help, they're both pretty good with helping each other. They're both 15. So they have a couple classes that are different blocks, but they have, so they can still collaborate with like Latin. They collaborate together, they work together. So they have a partner.
Yeah.
And then my older kids, like especially my oldest, she's like a math whiz. So she actually tutors students
Yeah.
as her little thing. So she'll, check in on them. She'll send them a text, are y'all good with math?
Mhm.
And they kind of communicate together. So I don't have to get too deep in, tutoring or that added assistance, like
Oh, that's
definitely
wonderful.
check and make sure assignments are turned in. I'm a stickler for that. So
Yeah. Well, it's wonderful that your daughter does that. Now, how old is your oldest daughter, Varsha?
she is almost 21. So she's a
Oh, wow.
junior in college and math's her thing. So that's her. She's putting out on all the different websites. Hey, if you need help with middle school, high school, or college math, I'm here. And she does great. So
Well, that's wonderful. You have to be such a proud mother for that.
I definitely am.
Well, look, again, thanks again, Varsha. And of course, again, this is International Women's Day and of course, Women's History Month. And while it's Women's History Month, I really wanted to focus on International Women's Day because it's every woman across all of the countries. Just a reminder for International Women's Day, I'm just going to review this. International Women's Day is a global day celebrating the social, economic, cultural, political achievements of women. This day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. They have this challenge where basically they're asking women to say, what is it that you're doing for International Women's Day? And how are you changing things? And so I wanted to first start with you, Varsha, and just ask you from a global perspective, when you think of International Women's Day, what do you think of or what comes to mind for you?
So for me, it's like in my head, I envision almost a symposium of women that come together, like for in our times would be maybe on the internet like this, but getting together and really just sharing some of their trials and tribulations with growing up in the culture that they're in or with their work, if that's, if they're entrepreneurs or whatever their job looks like, how that factors in with culture. And it's really, to me, it's really about learning other cultures and how women have stepped into their own power to break away the little bands that hold us back or what we think might hold us back in society, and just how we've overcome those issues to grow, and then able to share that with other people or family members or young ones really that are stepping into these roles where you might be the role model for these kids, and to share life experiences. I think it's really about knowledge and sharing that the part that people don't always see. If they're in one specific country, you don't know what's going on around the globe, and it's a
Absolutely.
great opportunity to collaborate with women.
I absolutely agree with everything you said. And speaking of things going on around the globe, can you tell me or share a little bit about your background growing up and the culture of women as you saw it?
Yeah, so my parents are both from India, so Indian descent, and my dad's very entrepreneurial, has 4 master degrees, like very smart, educated man. But as he migrated through the different parts of the world and we ended up in the US, it was challenging, as a, growing up, because it's 2 different cultures.
Sure.
So first generation, so those cultural ties are really strong, but then you're in a society where you have to almost conform or adapt to the culture to fit in, and my dad was good about that, always speaking English in the house because that's what everybody spoke. He's like, you have to learn English, you have to. So he was very progressive that way, very pro-American.
Sure.
And, but it still is a male-dominated society in the Indian culture, at least back
Sure.
in that time of era. And it was more of, you still had to be a little more, I don't want to say submissive, but it is that way where it's very respectful, you just do what you're told to do and you follow the box. And, and I'm like, I need to step out.
Yes.
And it was tricky. It was really tricky to stay within that respect
Mhm.
of my parents and the culture, but still be me in a society that was growing leaps and bounds around me. Like, I need to do what they're doing. I need to go experience the world. I need to go away to university and see what that's all about, right? Like, very curious mind. So it was tricky. It was tricky growing up.
Now, how would you describe the culture? You mentioned culture. How would you describe what that culture was for women?
Um, Most of the women, especially in India, they're stay at home, right? They don't really have the jobs. Their job is really to make sure that the house is running, whether the meals are on the table, the children are fed, the laundry is done. So all of those tasks were done. Today it's evolved a lot. Like, women are getting educated. Education's huge. They're starting their own careers. They're traveling in India. And so they're starting to have a voice, and they tend to be very political too. Like, they're advocates
Yes.
in certain, like, whether it's, children trafficking or human rights or, women's equality. They're very outspoken women that find that humanitarian drive, and they really push through that. So it's really awesome to see that, and how education is a big forefront. And so culturally, that's what we're seeing, as far as, the shift that I've been seeing over the last few decades with people that are of Indian descent.
And when you talk about that culture and education, and of course, education is a huge part of Women's History Month and International Women's Day. Is there anyone that comes to mind, more specifically, maybe from the culture of India, any individual that comes to mind that you just, maybe a political figure or a woman that really just stepped out into the forefront, and you just remember this individual as being someone that really took the reins and said, I really want to step out of this culture and move forward? So who would be that figure for you that just really uh, was someone that you noticed?
So I guess, from a political point, like a woman in India, the really first one that we watched really was Indira Gandhi. She was our first woman prime minister of India, right? So she, and I mean, for her that country is huge. It's the largest democracy in the world.
Yes.
And, to have her step up and be the prime minister to run that country for years, was really kind of cool, because it gave, I think, women hope that, yeah, we can do anything. If she can do this and
Yes.
lead this entire nation, well, yeah, we can open up our little storefront and we can sell our little goods and we can do these things. So I think that was really awesome to see that, watching her, or even Margaret Thatcher from England, right? Like, these women,
Absolutely.
incredibly powerful, that have, moved mountains and strong, to lead these countries. And I think it's really amazing to watch them and know that, okay, well, they're educated women. They, fought for their countries. They had their belief system, and they ran with it. And I think that's pretty cool.
It absolutely is. And someone that comes to mind for me is someone just that global figure. Is it Malala? Am I pronouncing it?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Malala. And I just think she's a wonderful individual. And the fact that she was so young, and what I thought was so beautiful about that is, even though the culture was really against women's education, she had the complete support of her father.
Hmm.
And so I thought that just really made a big difference. But again, when I think about, women globally stepping out and just the challenges in doing that, the sacrifices, uh, I mean, because there's a lot of, not only just a sacrifice, but in this case, it was extremely dangerous for her to do so. And so she was just on that global stage. And I think as a woman, no matter where you are in the globe, it was just something that I just remember, and it's more specifically because she was so young. So having said that, I know a lot of times our parents shape our beliefs and our cultures, and the beliefs in our cultures and what's going on in our culture. And I know you started your own business, and I wanted to speak to you a little bit about that, because you are one of those women that have stepped out and started your own business. What, talk to me a little bit about how you felt empowered to do that.
So, I mean, education, going back to education was huge in our family. My dad was a school teacher, right? Like, so
Yeah.
he valued education. We all were educated. So I have a finance degree, and I did the corporate America shuffle for a long time. And, the underlying of all that, it was my mom was so into making sure nutrition and healthy meals and creative meals were always on the table. So I always liked that. It was an underlying passion of mine. So when I was kind of that burned out corporate mom or corporate woman trying to be a mom,
Yeah.
I fell more into the passion of nutrition.
Yeah.
And so I organically created my business, of health and wellness to really help educate women, especially are my main clients, but really to educate them on how they can use food as nutrition and to fuel their body and wellness. So it was just believing that I can actually make an impact on other women.
Yes.
And for me, it wasn't even about creating this wealth, although it's very helpful, but it was more on the desire to watch women go from A to B and just see them unfold and to step into their power and to be so lit up that they could do anything that they wanted to because they felt so empowered and confident in their own skin. To me, that's amazing. And that's why I love doing what I do and just helping women see that. Because once you have that,
Yeah.
right, you can do anything. Like really, when you have that
Absolutely.
belief system and that mindset and confidence within yourself, you can do anything. You can create your business, you can travel the world, you can do whatever your mind sets you to do. So that's a passion of mine.
I can tell, Varsha, and when you talk about health in women and just health overall, that's a big part of who you are. And when you feel confident about yourself, your body, your health, and when I say your body, just your overall health, a healthy lifestyle. And I know you have a story, and if you don't mind telling it, you had, there was something going on with you health-wise, and you had to revisit or reimagine, if you will, what your health plan was. And if you could talk a little bit about that and how you got into your business, which is Lemon Wellness, and talk a little bit about what type of health program that is.
Sure. So I started experiencing almost 6 years ago where, we women, we age, life happens. And
Yeah.
I just started to gain weight all of a sudden around my middle, and I was getting really depressed in my moods.
Yeah.
And the energy and the zest of life was diminishing. And I'm like, this really stinks. Like I have 4 young ones and I can't be in a mood like this. This doesn't set a good example. And so I was on that journey to figure out what can I do. And I ate clean. I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat out. So I'm like, what is it? And I did different things. I'm very holistic in my approach with healing and tried all sorts of things, and I would feel better, but then it wasn't the solution. And I came across, I was visiting a doctor of physical therapy because my daughter was doing athletic performance there. And I happened to walk in and I just saw this product on his shelf, and I felt like the gateways of heaven opened and the beams of light were shining. And I'm like, what is this stuff? So I read the bottle and I was so fascinated because all of the Indian botanicals and herbs that I'm familiar with were all in this bottle.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how can this be? Like, how can this be? I'm like, okay. So I finally agreed after disbelieving everything that I was willing to try something for 30 days to see if it would change. And I was out to prove it wrong. Yeah. Because I'm a skeptic and I'm really a woman of science. So I'm like, this isn't going to work, but I'm going to follow it just the way you tell me to do it. I'm a good coachable person. So I did. And in 2 weeks, my energy started to fire up where I was laughing and the kids are like, Mama, you're laughing. So they noticed.
Yes.
And then just out of just eating, cleaning up a few things in my diet and adding these nutritional products into my lifestyle to fill in the gaps where I was really missing on nutrition, I started to shed the body fat.
Yeah.
So I lost 16 pounds and 17 inches of body fat.
Wow.
And it was like I felt lit up. My husband was, I didn't tell him, but he was just like, if you think that I can't see what's going on in front of my eyes, you must think I'm a fool. And so I was just, he thought I was getting ready to leave him because I looked amazing. And he's like, what? I just look like this, and I'm like, well, stop, but he was really encouraging because he's like, well, if you feel this lit up and feel this good, then by all means, continue doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
And people just started to ask me what I was doing because they could see it. Yeah. And they're like, I want to do what you're doing. So I'm like, oh, well, okay. So let me show you what I did. And it just became this coaching of sharing. I would just share to people what I was doing. I would help them. And it just organically, I ended up creating Lemon Wellness. Yeah. And I've helped, hundreds of people just feel amazing. And I love that. So I have my business really revolves around weight wellness, gaining or losing weight, whatever that looks like for people. Healthy aging, which is my little love, athletic performance and energy. So it's really about different pillars and how to lead a healthy lifestyle to fit your goals. And you can change it up how you go along the way. And, so you're in more control of, different options for yourself. And so we put together a little package that works for you. And then I get you through all of that. And we end up becoming good friends with most of my clients because it's really a community that we've created of individuals that are on the same path of health.
Yeah, because I think, and I love what you said there, because your health is so important. And like you said, as you age, especially as you age as women, there are different things that start happening and occurring in your body, your hormones and so forth. Everything is changing. And certainly it changes your mood, your energy levels, your mindset. I mean, there's just a lot to it. And to think that food or what you eat or how you eat or your healthy or your lifestyle for eating makes a difference. And so I know that there's different programs out there. Did you want to talk a little bit more about the science-based health program and how it really works with your body to give you the energy and everything that you need?
Yeah, so it is, like you said, it's science-based, and we are actually published in 7 medical journals. The system is really designed to just rebalance your body with nutrients, but we also have, I think what sets us apart from most of the other systems is we actually do what's called intermittent fasting and nutritional cleansing on a cellular level.
Okay.
So we detoxify your body from head to toe. So by doing that, your body then is so intelligently and divinely created that you can start to absorb the nutrients the way your body was designed and shed what you're not supposed to hold. Sure. And so it's a beautiful concept on how that works, but it's science proven.
Like you said, as we age, it really is all about a quality of life. And so in order to have that quality of life, it's what you're putting into your body. And we know now that a lot of what we put into our body, it impacts our overall aging process. When we talk about our skin, the health of our skin, the health of our heart, the health of everything, just our bodies in general, our energy levels. So I think it's always a good idea for women to have an option for their overall health program and to know that there's different options out there. Talk to me about how you connect with women and empower women by offering up information about how they can improve their overall health through eating or through a program, a health-based program.
Yeah, so it really started with networking. And so I am with a global networking company called BNI, and it has really opened the doors for me to meet other members in these global countries where I can do business. So by making these connections and meeting with them and talking to them about health and nutrition and lifestyle, they are able to connect me with people that would be interested. And so it's really about sharing and networking. And that's how I was able to get into some of the other countries. And, in July of 2020, so right in the middle of pandemic, we actually opened in 13 markets in Europe.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing. And a lot of that
is.
has to do with the wellness company that I partnered with, because they are able to get into the door. So that allows me to go in. And it's just beautiful, because it's just it is about making connections with people, building relationships, and just sharing information. And if it goes something deeper, it's beautiful. If it doesn't, it's okay, but I made a new friend along the way.
Yeah. And the wonderful thing about what you do, you're empowering women on a level not only across the globe, but you're empowering them on a level with something that you really believe in, and something that is so basic, which is your overall health.
Yeah.
And so I just love that you're able to share those stories. And I know we're coming to a close here, Varsha, but I wanted to just ask if you had any particular story that you wanted to talk about, whether it was one of the women or one of the groups or women that is a part of your Lemon Wellness program, and maybe what they were doing before, and any success stories or what they found that was different, what they were doing before, and then how this really helped them after, to where they just felt empowered. Because I've gone to one of your meetings, I've met the women, and just their stories and the way it just seemed to change who they were. It was just really beautiful, and you could just feel that power.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, if there's any story that really resonates with you.
So yeah, there is one, this is my favorite, because it impacted her so much.
Yeah.
And she originally came from the Miami area and moved up to the Charlotte area. And she was seeing a nutritionist down there, after her 2 girls were born. So she had put on a lot of weight, and she was just looking, just eating clean and trying to drop the weight and exercising. And she was going to the gym 6 days a week. And when she came up here, we started talking, and it was 2 years of conversation before she said that she would, okay, but I think I'm just gonna do something extremely minor.
Yeah.
Because budget, she's just like, I'm trying to get my business going. I'm like, fine, I'll meet you where you're at.
Yeah.
And then that little change came into people watching her going, hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You look really good. And then she's like, Varsha, well, what if I actually did the detoxification? And I'm like, I think you can just see what it really does. So in the process, she was so excited, because she dropped 60 pounds working with me. And when she puts her photos lined up and I look at her, it's a completely different woman. She is an amazing, and it empowered her, because she felt so good in her skin. She's won Rising Star for Navo. She is she owns her own business as a disabled woman here in Charlotte. Like, incredibly powerful networker, and just very optimistic and positive, and always sees the good in people. But she tells me all the time that it's because you helped me get there. Like, I feel great, and my girls look at me like, you can do this, Mom. And so I'm like, when I see stories like that, I'm like, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, like you said, and it's all about sharing. I like what you said in the very beginning. A part of one of the most important parts, I think, of women connecting and empowering one another is just connecting and sharing their stories, sharing their life lessons learned. And these are actual authentic stories. It's not something they read about, or, something if you're, oh, well, I went to school for this. These are actual experiences that women have had. And so then when other women see what they're doing and they like what they're doing, it's like, well, what are you doing? And so I like that about that. And that's with anything, and it's just really sharing those authentic life lessons learned. And that's what really, I think, resonates with everyday women. It's not some pro telling them what's best for them, because they know what's best for them. And so it's a matter of someone really listening and hearing, and then using and adapting to what works best for them. And knowing that it's not a one-all, be-all, it's what works best for them. And just knowing that, hey, there's someone out there like me, and they share my same story, and so I can relate to that. So I just think it's wonderful. And
Thank you.
yeah, so Varsha, I just want to say thank you so much. That's all I had. I don't know if you had any parting words for this International Women's Day, if you had any final words or parting words for women.
Yeah, I would just encourage everybody to really just step into their own and to give yourself grace to allow that to happen.
Yeah,
And just really know that you are beautiful and that you're worthy of being the best very self that you can be. So and I just love this week.
that's beautiful. Varsha, thank you so much, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Tonya. It
Enjoy
was
the
such
rest
an
of your
honor
day.
to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been wonderful. Thank you.